So I've told you about underrated King, but what about overrated Stephen King books? It's time for this month's book special. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. Now normally I'm going through the movies and adaptations in chronological order, 19 reasons to watch each of them, but once a month we stop off for a book special, and that's what we're doing here, and we are talking overrated Stephen King books. This one was suggested by TDR Davis too, thank you for that, and honestly this is one of the trickiest specials I've ever had to come up with. Overrated Stephen King? I mean, he's my favourite author. I don't think that many are overrated, but I liked it so much as an idea that I've stuck with it, and I've come up with 10 that I'm going to share with you in a spoiler-free fashion, and I'd love to hear your ideas for which Stephen King books you think are overrated as well. And while we're talking your ideas, don't forget, if you've got suggestions for future specials, get those dropped in the comments, and I will work my way through them and get to them eventually. Love to hear your ideas about them. Okay, like I said, I'm going to try and keep this as spoiler-free as possible. I'm just going to sort of express some of my gripes with the stories and why I think they might be overrated. And like I said earlier, let me know your choices for overrated King in the comments, but please be mindful of spoilers in there as well. Don't go ruining stuff, basically. Play nice, okay? Let's get into it. Here are my choices for 10 Stephen King books that are overrated. Okay, at 10. It. Wow, yeah. So, I'll level with you. I struggled to get to 10 books that were overrated, so I did a bit of digging around, posing that question online, and this came up quite a lot. This is a top 5 book for me, so I was surprised at how often it came up, but it got me thinking, and I forced myself to be objective about it, and I realised that actually, yeah, you can make a case for some of this being overrated. The parts of the story where we follow the adult losers are not particularly good, and a lot of people don't like the ending as well. And there's a certain scene in there that a lot of people have issue with, but I don't think that makes it overrated. Anyway, I can sort of see some arguments for it, even if I don't necessarily believe it myself. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Is it overrated? So at 9, Needful Things. Another one that I saw come up online that made me question my own judgments, because again, I love this book and I regularly champion this tale of just chaos and carnage in Castle Rock. But again, taking a step back, aside from Alan Pangborn, who is brilliant, this book is at the very least very, very silly. It's prank after prank after prank, with a villain in Leland Gort who is essentially just giggling away all the time. Yeah, I can see why people might think it's overrated. Personally, I still think it's a great example of King doing small towns, but hey, again, let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments. What do you think of Needful Things? By the way, do you like my Randall Flagg Nevada t-shirt? It's from my range of Stephen King themed band shirts. You can find the link floating around here somewhere. Check it out. Oh, also, shameless plug aside there. One of the things to say about Stephen King's Needful Things is that King wrote this as a sort of black comedy, a satire of the greed of the Reagan years from the 80s, but quite a lot of people didn't pick up on that. So is there an argument to be made that it failed? I don't know, but let me know. Okay, on to my own choices that I was able to get to without internet assistance. So at number 8, Carrie. Now don't get me wrong, I love Carrie, but I'm always surprised at how frequently it appears in people's top 10 Stephen King books list, because for me it's not top 10 quality. It's a great story, but I think there's so much nostalgia and weight attached to this with it being King's first book that makes people rate it higher than it deserves to be rated, if you get what I mean. Like, you take all of that emotion and weight away from it and it's a bit easier to pick apart. There's a lot of this book where King is stretching and kind of trying a bit too hard to impress with all of the fictional reports and extracts and committee meetings and all of those kind of things, trying to make it seem like it was a real thing. And there's some pretty bad writing about women in here as well. So, yeah, I think Carrie could be at least a little overrated. Okay, 7, Thinner. Now, I love Thinner. It's campy, it's silly, it's gory, It's got loads of great stuff going for it, but it works in the context of this special because of it being a Bachman book. So this one was written before the Richard Bachman identity was revealed to the world, but it was the first one that King wrote as Bachman after becoming Stephen King and becoming this huge writer. And therein lies a problem, because this book doesn't read like a Bachman book. It's obviously a Stephen King book. It just, everything about it screams 80s Stephen King book. It doesn't have that cynicism or nastiness of the other Bachman books. And it's for that reason that I've included it in this overrated list, because a lot of people rank it as their favourite Bachman book. And it's just, to me, it just almost doesn't count as a Bachman book. So it fails in being a Bachman book. And that's why I'm having it as overrated. Okay? Okay, number 6. The entire Hodges trilogy. Mr. Mercedes, Finders Keepers, and End of Watch. Now, a lot of people love this series. And the idea of Stephen King doing a detective series, I mean, that's one of the easiest things to market out there, right? And this book starts brilliantly. The opening of Mr. Mercedes is terrific. But from that point on, the whole series is just on a slow decline all the way through. The rest of this book is kind of scrambling to catch up with the brilliance of the opening. Finders Keepers is a great story that is completely hamstrung by being forced into this world. And the End of Watch one, well, that sucks. Definitely overrated. And it gave us Holly fracking Gibney, which is a problem. Okay, number 5, The Gunslinger. Similar problem to Carrie here. If this had been the only thing we'd ever got from the Dark Tower universe, nowhere near as many people would love it as much. It's too weird, it's too fantastical, and let's face it, it's too pretentious. But the fact that we eventually got the entire Tower saga, and especially after King retconned this, went back to it and made sure everything added up to 19, yeah, it's got this mythical godlike status when actually it's a pretty average, disjointed book. So there you go. Gunslinger's overrated. Okay, number 4, Skeleton Crew. And yes, we have done a handbrake turn right into controversy avenue. I am aware of that. But hear me out. The highs in Skeleton Crew are incredible. The good stories here are some of his absolute best short stories. But, and I know this is a bit cruel, but let's take out the Mist, let's take out the Raft, the Jaunt. This is Todd's Shortcut, the Monkey, Word Processor of the Gods. What you're left with is not great. This is like an album that's got 5 or 6 amazing singles on, and then 10 album tracks of absolute fluff. That's this collection. The lows in this are pretty darn low. You know, you take out those good ones, you could even argue this is his weakest collection, particularly when you take out Grammar and The Reach as well. Now, I get why people love this. It came out middle of the 1980s, 1985, peak Stephen King blowing up. It's so nostalgic for so many constant readers. It's got a great front cover. It was used in big marketing campaigns in libraries across America. Like, it is a cultural icon. There's a lot of filler in it. And yeah, I think the only collection that is better than, as a whole, is Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Okay, number 3, The Talisman. Now, long-time viewers of this channel will know that I don't like The Talisman. I completely understand why so many constant readers love The Talisman, particularly if they were in their early teens when this came out. It's this sprawling, fantastical adventure, straddling worlds, high stakes, interesting characters, I suppose, and just lots happening. But let me give you a counter-argument. It's dull, it's bloated, and a lot of the characters are really fucking annoying, especially Jack Sawyer. And it's just not good, at least in my opinion. And it's definitely overrated. Okay, number 2, Wizard and Glass. Now, I know this is a beautiful story. Wonderfully written, captivating, engrossing. I completely get why people love it. I completely get why people have it as their favourite Tower book, as their favourite King book. But again, hear me out on this. This was part 4 of the Dark Tower. Part 3 came out 6 years before this, and King left us on a cliffhanger. Only to resolve that cliffhanger within a few pages, and then give us like 800 pages of backstory. And yeah, it's a good story. But then we waited another 6 years to carry on with the actual story. And all the backstory here made me really dislike Roland, not like him. I just think it's overrated. That's all. And it's my special, so I can do that. Okay, it won't surprise you at all to know that my number one pick for the most overrated Stephen King book is, of course, The Stand. Again, great concept. And some of his writing in the first 200 pages or so, brilliant. And I totally, again, understand why so many people love this. But I don't. So much of this book I find really dull. I really don't care about most of the characters. I think the ending is pretty fumbled. And when you've got this concept, you've got this chance to start the world again. And the best you come up with is the good guys just trying to recreate what they had before. I mean, really? Come on. Come on, be more creative. Like, iconic for sure. Overrated, absolutely. So there we go, my pick for 10 overrated Stephen King books. Thanks so much to TDR Davis too for the suggestion. Let me know your picks in the comments. Just play nice. And don't forget, this is overrated stuff. This isn't necessarily stuff that you don't like personally. This is more things that you see lots of people raving about and you can find faults with. So don't just tell me your least favourites. I've done specials on that. Tell me which ones you think are overrated. Do check out the links in the description to find your Stephen King themed band shirts like the Randall Flagg Nirvana top I'm wearing from my new collection, as well as my own collection of short stories, my newsletter, all of those kind of things. But most of all, thank you for watching, really appreciate it. Subscribe if you feel like it, tell a friend, all of that stuff is great. And do come back for more. Next time, is there something out there in the mist?